Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornic, so welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I'll talk about it. This week's game is Goat Simulator for the PS4. It was originally released in 2015, and it's listed as an action game. I don't know what that's about, developed by Coffee Stain Studios, published by Double 11. And also there will be spoilers up ahead, just so you know. But first, a little backstory. I went on a January sale on PSN and I found this game called Goat Simulator. And I remembered this game vaguely. I think Jacksepticeye did a playthrough of this, and I basically picked it up for basically nothing. So that's the game I've been playing this week. So as you start up the game, you're prompted to a city landscape where you can select between the different types of game modes and areas. So some of these you have to pay extra for, others are free from the get-go. So those you have to pay for are Ghostwave Space Simulator, Payday, Goat MMO Simulator, and Goat 2. So the free game modes are Goat City Bay and Goatville. So I started up in Goatville, and you start in a pen and you get some objectives. And more or less this is an open sandbox game where you control a goat that causes mayhem. So you can headbutt things, you can lick things, and for some weird reason things just stick to your tongue, so your tongue gets like super long. You can drag people, chairs, and everything with you. So the first objective that I found, or that I remember right off the bat, was reach the clouds. You're supposed to jump 5 meters up in the air. So I did this by accessing a trampoline, and for some reason most things in this game actually explode. So my compulsion effect were, what happens if I go down to the gas station? And I just headbutted like a gas tank and the whole thing blew up. So this game is like a trial and testing ground. So everything you do will give you a score, basically. So, and also kind of a funny thing, if you lick a person or drag them with you, their name will be displayed on next to the score. It's a fine little detail, and everything, how do I explain? The more damage you do, the higher the multiplier gets. So you can start just going into an office area, for instance, and start tackling monitors and chairs and everything, and the counter and like the score will go up. And it's actually part of one of the objectives, you just get a high score as possible. So another funny little Easter egg is that the game developer, Coffee Stain Studios, that have their own headquarters in Goatville. So when you enter the area where the studio is at, they actually start sharing at you, but as I'm a little mischievous goat, I just tackled everything. And sometimes the physics makes no sense in this game, but everything flew away, everything. And there was this other area which I found very funny. There's like this open area with a garage, and you have like this treadmill that's spinning on full force. And I didn't know that it was spinning at full force, so I went in there and I basically sent the goat guy, flying out of there. So there is something about this game that just makes me laugh. The goat is more or less indestructible. He can fly over the place, he can explode and everything, and just ragdolls all over the place. And I don't know, I just have a stupid grin on my face every time I play this game this week. So there's another darker objective where basically the goat needs to be hit by a car. So I think the studio that worked on this is actually Swedish, because one of the road signs, you have these transition like tunnels to different parts of the game, where one of them actually says helvete, which is Swedish for hell, and the other is himmelen, which is heaven, basically. So you have these tunnels, but even if you go to like hell or heaven, you end up in the Bay Area, which is the next part of the area that's free in this game. So there was this area where you climb up a hill and there's a long water slide that leads down into a pool. So if you press the circle button, I think you go into ragdoll mode. So that's what I did, and I went down the slide. Halfway down the slide, I realized that there was no water in the pool. So I don't know, it's dark humor, but the goat doesn't take damage, so it's fine, right? And a bit away from the water slide, there is this protest going on with people with signs talking about forbidden pointy food. And I was thinking like, what is pointy food? I don't know, just a funny So this game is full of like reference humor and stuff. So there's this other part where in the pen when you start, there's a little castle tower. So if you go on top of this castle tower thing, there's a little door and you end up in a big cathedral which doesn't match the outside of the tower. So you go down this long red carpet like a cathedral, as I said, and all these other goats bow to you, and you jump on a throne and you become the new king or something. So you can change skins by clearing certain objectives. There's like a summoning circle on a hill as well, so you drag some people into the summoning circle, about 3 or 4 I think, and you turn into a hell goat, like a really horned figure. So there's this interesting sandbox mechanic. You have the triangle button, which is the special button which interacts with things. You can ride longboards and bicycles and a whole slew of other things. But I'm not very good at it, but they have like physics engines in place, so you can actually ride a skateboard in a ramp, and you can go down the street with a bicycle. Another interesting mechanic is the slow motion button. So you press left on the D-pad and everything goes into slow motion. It doesn't really have any purpose other than going into slow motion, I guess. And there's also this mechanic which you can do a wall jump. If you run straight into a wall and press the X button again, the jump button, you make a double jump on that wall. So Goatville also has a fighting area for goats. So there's some onlookers there that cheer you on as well, people. So you have to beat like 3 or 4 goats and you will earn the, I hate the word, but a girthier sort of goat skin. And when you headbutt people in this form or things, they get flung all over the map. This is kind of one of the more crazier things. Some of the skins that you earn, I think you can earn like a giraffe and a whale. Just pure chaos. This game is pure sandbox chaos right from the beginning to the end. So I finally went down to the Bay Area and I found a club which was called Styvman, and that basically translates to stiff man. And I don't know, there's some in-game humor here, and I thought that was kind of funny too. Also down by the bay, there's this carnival area. They have actually kind of cool thing. They have arcade units playing, so you can actually go up to these arcade cabinets and press the triangle buttons. You can play like a version of the old mobile game Snake, which is functional, which is kind of crazy. You can play a version of Flappy Birds. And there were some other games on there as well, kind of cool. And there's also this roller coaster. So you walk up like this. You get into an elevator. You go out to the top. And you go on this roller coaster. But since the physics engine is a bit weird, you will basically get flung out of the roller coaster because there's no safety guard on it. Yeah. So I saw something in the distance, and it turns out there's like an island in the middle of the lake. So I jumped into the water, and the way that the water physics works in this game is once you get down into the water want to push you upwards. So if you jump at just at the right time, you actually can maintain the speed. It doesn't make any sense, but it does in this game. So I ended up on this island, and they popped up some text on the screen saying you can't leave or something like that. And I thought it was like an in-game joke, but you can't actually leave the island without resetting. There's like an invisible wall or something. So I was on this island and I ate some of the flowers or licked them, and my head grew super big for some reason. I don't know why. It's one of those weird moments. So I resetted the game and I went to explore some more. So on the top of this other hill were basically an outhouse where you do your number 1 and number 2 business. So there was this guy on the can basically, and I just headbutted the outhouse and it exploded, obviously, and I flew across the map. So with a lot of trial and error, I went back to the outhouse and I found these wind turbines, or like not windmills, but like these constructs that basically creates electricity out of air, a windmill. I don't know. So I climbed up one of those and I jumped into the rotor blades and I sent flying once again, and I landed near a crashed alien site. It was kind of cool. There's an Easter egg tied to this area where I think I can talk about it later on in the Easter egg section, but I was kind of surprised. So gameplay. Follow the goat Pilgor on its destructive quest throughout Goatville and explore it. Create mayhem. Control. The left stick moves the goat around. The right stick is basically camera and look. The left on the D-pad is a slow motion button, and circle ragdolls, X jumps. Square is lick, and L1 is doing goat noises, and triangle is a special button dedicated to interact with bikes and longboards and stuff. Graphics. This game was made in the Unreal Engine 3, and it was initially a Swedish student project that got some traction. It looks kind of good. It's nothing too impressive to write home about, but it gets the job across, gets the point across. Sound and music. Gustav Trivander made the music for this game, and it's silly at sometimes. Initially, it sounds like they actually just gave a flute to a kid to just make noises with it. This kind of silly backtracking. And as I said before, if you press the L1 button, it makes a random goat noise. And it's not consistent. It's always something weird, low pitch or high pitch, just pure goat chaos. Easter egg secrets and glitches. So there's a pipe that leads into a tunnel in the Bay Area where you find 4 guys dressed up as the Ninja Turtles. Just for no reason, I guess. And there is another Easter egg tied to... if you go on top of the Putin Hotel, yes, that Putin, you will find a reference to Deadmau5. There's a concert there with Deadmau5, and if you interact with him on stage, you get his mask. The kind of Mickey Mouse looking kind of thing. And there's also an Easter egg revolving around the alien spaceship. So I don't really know how to trigger it, but at some point in the game you can actually go and press the triangle button near the spacecraft and it starts to rain whales. And that's a power-up. I don't know why, but imagine looking up into the sky and just whales falling down. I'll be terrified because there's no safe place from falling whales, I guess. In conclusion, I wrote, yes, absolutely. This game is pure sandbox and it's pure chaos. I like the idea of it. It's well executed. And a game doesn't need to be serious to be fun. Just all these silly things that happen throughout the game. I forgot to talk about an area where it's an experimental gravity facility. And you just walk in there and there are like fans blowing everywhere. And once you get into that chamber, gravity has no effect. You just, float around. I don't know how to explain it. I had a lot of fun playing this week, so I can definitely recommend this game. And it was on sale, as I said, on January sale. Basically paid nothing for it. And yeah, that's about it. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.